work of a third grade student. I originally chose this student because she had consistently demonstrated difficulties with the addition of three-digit numbers. She was able to consistently answer two-digit addition problems correctly. However, these skills were not transferred over into three-digit addition. Um, what I understood her misunderstandings to be was from regrouping. So as you can see here, with two-digit addition, she was able to regroup 10 ones into a 10 and carry it over and then add accordingly to get the proper answer. Um, when she was answering these problems, these were not using base 10 blocks, so she was able to answer these problems without the concrete model. This is when you start to see that she struggled to regroup from ones to tens and then from tens to hundreds. So where I saw her misunderstandings and misconceptions to come from would also be supported by the Van D. Wally text that suggests that if explicit connections are not made between the regrouping and the procedure, then the operations will be done wrong. So here, it is easy to see that when she has her ones and then they are moved over to the tens, that she gets confused on where to cross out and when to add another longer tens. So this is when she began to start answering the problems incorrectly. The recommendation for remediation that I would give would be to start with just concrete model problems. So give students three-digit addition problems until with the use of the concrete model until she is able to answer these problems without difficulty, then move into the recording of the numerical process. So after the student was able to get multiple practice as seen with these problems, what we did was we used these problems, these addition problems, with the concrete models only. So I would show the student a problem and she would then use her base 10 blocks to answer the question. And we went through all of these problems and had a discussion about how it was important to always begin with the ones, which was a big emphasis that the Van D. Wally text also put emphasis on. So we practiced that. And then we also reviewed the importance of remembering that 10 units equals a long and 10 longs equal a flat. We constantly went over these concepts so that the student was repeating them and reminding herself them of every time that she was going over these problems. Um, this practice with just the concrete models eliminates the possibility for students to become confused through the regrouping process. So as seen in this picture here, this is kind of what I would do with the student. She was asked to read this problem out loud to me, and then she would go ahead and use the base 10 blocks to create both of those numbers. And once she had created both of those numbers, we went through and added them both together, and I had her walk me through the processes that she was going through in her head to make sure that these were all correct so that when we later went on to the um, recording of the numerical process on pen and paper, as seen in the top of this picture, that she was able to also do that correctly. So I found that through work of consistent use of the concrete model, the student was able to answer these problems without struggling. She later turned in homework as seen here with success in carrying to 1,000. So she was able to take the skills she learned and use that to also go into the thousands place. The student Based on working with her, I would say that her struggle came from just lack of the ability to get to use the concrete model enough before she was ready to move on to recording the numerical process with pen and paper. So in the future, I would just recommend more practice with the concrete model before going into the standard algorithm to make sure all of the processes and the procedures are understood by the student. Thank you.